All right, we're getting ready to start the show in 3, 2, 1. Welcome, everyone. This is Trav. I am the Blazing Defender, and with me is my co-hosts,
Big Sam.
Big Sam.
Big Sam's in the house. Big motherfucking Sam. I am the Blazing Defender, and with me is my This is the Meatheads on Movies show. Big Sam's in the house. Big motherfucking Sam.
Meatheads on the movies.
There's a lot of stuff going on. There's a lot of stuff in Hollywood that probably needs our attention. There's a lot of stuff in Hollywood going on. Probably needs our attention. Probably needs our attention. Probably needs our attention. Probably needs our attention. There's a lot of stuff in Hollywood. Probably needs our attention. Probably needs our attention. Probably needs our attention. Probably needs our attention. Probably needs our attention.
And now, for your listening pleasure,
The Blazing Defender Report with your host, Travis Jones.
Can you please stop bothering my kid?
Sorry.
Arthur, I have some bad news for you. This is the last time we'll be meeting.
You don't listen, do you? You just ask the same questions every week. How's your job? Are you having any negative thoughts? All I have are negative thoughts.
And finally, in a world where everyone thinks they can do my job, check out this guy.
When I was a little boy and told people I was going to be a comedian, everyone laughed at me. Well, no one's laughing now.
You can say that again, pal.
It's so awful, isn't it?
For my whole life, I didn't know if I even really existed. But I do. And people are starting to notice.
You think this is funny? Is this a joke to you?
Murray, one small thing.
Yeah.
When you bring me out, can you introduce me as Joker?
Send in the clowns.
Send in the fucking clowns. Goddamn right they sent them in. What's going on, everybody? Welcome to
Writing's
a
not that
very
easy,
special
but
edition of the
Grammarly
Blazing
can
Defender
help.
Report.
This sentence is
Oh my God,
grammatically
what is that?
correct.
What is going on?
It's
Am I being
wordy
hacked?
and hard
Someone's
to read.
hacking me.
It under
Stop hacking me, Jason. Okay, just kidding. All right. When you play a video, you've got to shut the shit down or it's going to go into the next one. All right. So, again, a very special edition of Meatheads on Movies. And God damn it, Sam, I told you to remind me to hit record. So we got to do that again. All right, ready? 3. Welcome, everyone, to a very, very special edition, again, of the Blazing Defender Report. I do this every so often with my good friend, the largest Kung Fu master in the universe, Big Sam. We are Meatheads on Movies, doing the Joker review show. What's going on, Big Sam?
What's up, Blazing Defender? How's it going, man?
Oh, man, dude, still trying to process that madness that we seen.
Yeah, it's been weighing on me now since Thursday night.
Right. Yeah, I agree. Like, I was going to the gym afterwards, and I couldn't get my fucking head right. Like, I honestly, like, you know, I'd finish a set, and then I'd be like, damn, was that real? Did he have Matt? No, hold on. What? Fuck. You know, I gotta do another set. You know, hey, man, are you done with that yet? Now, hold on, man. I just seen the Joker, dude. Fucking relax. Go to curves, motherfucker. We are Meatheads, so we're gonna say shit like that. But yeah, it's I just want to point out for all the viewers that do not know, Sam, tell everybody what your profession is.
So I am a psychiatric nurse.
Hey, not only do we provide the comedy, but I bring experts on the fucking show, goddammit. Fuck, I got a psych nurse of how many years, Sam? How long you been doing that?
Almost 10 and a half.
Gee, okay. So a lot of experience dealing with Arthur Fleck type individuals, correct?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Hopefully people who haven't quite gone all the way that he may have gone to in this movie, but yes, people who are kind of maybe on that cusp. Yeah.
I got you.
And some who have stepped over the ledge a little bit.
I guarantee that too. Yeah, so we'll get into it, man. I have seen, as I'm sure you have, critics are raving. I feel like viewers have been, I don't want to say split down the middle, but there is some opposing views. I got a text today wanting to know what time the show was, and I told him, and he said, well, yeah, I'm going to watch your show, but I don't think I'm going to go see the movie. I got another friend that does a podcast, and he said it was the worst movie you ever seen. And I said, okay, we'll do this. Watch my show and then make up your mind. You know, for one thing, guys, you should never let a reviewer, a critic make your mind up for you. And like this movie or not, it's a movie that I think really needs to be seen. Would you agree?
Yeah, for sure. And I just wanted to reiterate the point about reviewers. Don't ever let me think for you. You know, that's you're not gonna like the outcome if I'm thinking for you. You know,
that's right.
I'm just saying.
Right. Well, you know, and everybody likes different things, and you and I are going to talk about how we feel about this movie. We're going to talk about the love and the hate of it. So if somebody off the street says, "Hey, man, did you see that Joker movie?" and you're like, "Yeah, I seen it. What'd you think?" What do you tell them? Oh, and if you have not seen the Joker yet, we are going to spoil the shit out of it.
Fantastic movie.
Go ahead. Sorry.
Oh, yeah. So, no, all good. So I tell them, I say, look, it is an absolutely fantastic movie. I think Joaquin Phoenix's performance is right there neck and neck with Heath Ledger. I've got to have a little more time before I say he's right, on par with him, or if not better, because Joker's lasted for so long, so I say it's a fantastic movie. The performance is unbelievable, but it's an incredibly sad and hard movie to watch that I'm not sure I would ever want to see a second time.
Right. And I can totally agree with that statement. And people have asked me about it, and I've told them, I believe I believe for what it is, the story they were trying to tell, it's fantastic. They did, I think, everything that they set out to do. They didn't make a comic book movie. They took a comic book character and created, kind of like they did with Logan, they created another type of movie from a comic book character. Now, love that or hate that, I know some people have been really decisive about not liking that part of it. I think they did an amazing job. This movie is so disturbing. And as I felt like I was traveling down the path of madness with Arthur Fleck, it's not a movie that I would enjoy. I go to the movies to be enjoyed or to be entertained. Okay. I want to enjoy the movie I'm watching. There's really nothing enjoyable about this movie.
No.
I mean, other than appreciating it from a cinema standpoint, from a performance standpoint, because we're fans of movies. Yeah, we like comic books and stuff too, but we're big fans of movies. And from a movie making standpoint, they really created something new and different with a character that's, 75 years old? You know what I mean? So
pretty low budget too.
Yes, very much so. Yeah. And again, kind of along the same path as Logan, they made that movie for very, very little money. Probably more money than they made this one for, but still, it just goes to show you can still create masterpieces in art from a very, very small budget. It's story. We want story. Comic book fans want story. And I think they gave us one. Now, whether it's a story you want or not, and we'll get into the Ledger Phoenix debate here toward the end of the show. But so we're talking about how good it was, right? But we say we'll probably never see it again. It has very, very low rewatchability for us. What were some of the things that you liked about it that made it fantastic?
Okay, first, when I say that, I'm really hoping I do watch it again.
Sure.
Like I for sure will buy it on Blu-ray, and then I hope I put it in my Blu-ray player. You know, I just can't say for sure that I will. The performance, hands down, was unreal. I mean, and for me, I started thinking about it, and I mean, Joaquin Phoenix might not have had 100 lines in this entire movie. He didn't speak a whole lot outside of the last part, with Robert De Niro. He probably had more lines in that scene with De Niro than he had in the whole rest of the movie put together. And to still come across as the centerpiece of that movie and that tour de force that he was without speaking is pretty interesting. It reminds me of a movie called, I think it's There Will Be Blood, if I remember right. And it's about an old mining movie. It had Daniel Day-Lewis in it.
I remember.
And I think something like the first 18 minutes doesn't have a spoken word.
You're right.
And there was a scene in the third Planet of the Apes, the reboots, I think it's War of the Planet of the Apes, where there's a long stretch without basically any dialogue. And it was done just absolutely in an amazing way to be able to convey everything from body language and facial expressions and things without speaking. There was and I know you saw this, there was a Batman and Robin comic done by Tomasi and Gleason shortly after Damian died. And the whole comic was done with nothing but Gleason's art. There was not a single dialogue, not a word in there. And it was an unbelievably
powerful, sad,
and overbearing issue, but it was fantastic.
Right.
And this movie came across that same way to me. To see his body contortion, the way he would hunch over and his shoulder blades would stick up to his ears.
So weird.
To see his descent into madness, especially being a psych nurse, was very interesting. I got some of that from the movie Brightburn, seeing that kid start to discover who he was and everything. And those things I really enjoy seeing in a movie, not so much in person.
Right.
What really hit home for me was I've recently taken a cruise to Alaska, and it was great, don't get me wrong, but one of my big complaints was how shitty people were to each other on this cruise. And not the workers, they were fantastic, but these peers, that I had there, they were just negative and bitching and treating each other like shit. And to make a long story short, a big obese lady toppled over in her motorized scooter. And so as me and a man are kind of trying to help her up, so people are literally stepping over her. Not exaggerate, not figuratively, literally stepping over her. One guy even said, "Excuse you all, I have a flight to catch." And so I was already very disheartened with how I saw these people treat each other over this week that I was on this ship. And then it was I got back on Saturday. So 5 days later, I watched this Joker movie, and I was like, the saddest part is, I could see it. I could see this. You know, this is obviously an extreme because it's a movie,
right?
But I could see it. You
Yeah,
know? And that's terrible, man.
It is.
I guess that's not part that I enjoyed.
Sure,
it was enjoyable in the sense that how well it conveyed its story.
Right. Well, the realism, you know, like when they touch on something that we've kind of all seen, you especially being in the field you're in. And I'll be honest, one of the things that shocked me the most when I got on the fire department was how many very, very mentally unstable people there are that walk around. Not everybody that's mentally unstable is in an institution. Not saying they need to be or they don't need to be. But I've made runs, and we call them frequent flyers. They're, you know, Willie Sipes. Everybody down the West End knows Willie Sipes. Everybody that's ever rode a med unit, been on a fire department, knows Willie Sipes. You pick him up all the time, and he's a homeless guy, and he's not right. He probably needs to be in an institution. And we've seen that, like, holy shit, man, this dude, he's one cracker away from from being the Joker, maybe. I don't know. That's not my expertise. I don't know about that, but all I know is there's some very mentally unstable people out there, and that's exactly how we treat them. It's how Arthur Fleck was treated in this movie, and he pretty much had enough. The realism.
Point,
go ahead.
To your point, I was saying we were just in Seattle before taking that cruise. That's where we embarked out of. And, you know, I thought the homeless and mental population in Louisville was a ton. And it was nothing like Seattle. Seattle, I mean, you were surrounded by people who were homeless and people who had mental instabilities. And most of them were perfectly fine. But we were standing there, me and my girlfriend, and this one guy was particularly watching because he was more aggressive. Everybody else was fine, but this guy was kind of aggressive. And he had a buddy who was kind of leaning back on a building in the shadows. And so I'm keeping my eye on them, like, all right, what's going on? And he got right up to my face. And I'm thinking, oh my gosh, we got to take care of this guy, you know? And he goes, man, will you kill me? And I go, no, man, I'm not going to do that today. And he goes, fine. And he signals his buddy. They walk like kind of angrily across the street. And Amanda was like, oh my God, what is that? And I said, oh, that's Monday through Friday. That's what I do. The only difference was I didn't get paid for it.
Right.
But to your point, yes, people with mental illness are all around.
Sure. Yeah. And I mean, the realism that this movie portrayed, and again, exactly what you said, Joaquin Phoenix's portrayal, you know, the whole, you know, when he would stick his fingers in his mouth to try to create a smile, and it's like he's always ready to break down and cry. One of the things that I loved about the story was how they made it an affliction of his to laugh when he's feeling the exact opposite way.
And that's real.
Yeah, that's a real affliction. Yeah.
Yes, that is actually called Pseudobulbar Affect, and it can cause you to laugh uncontrollably at inappropriate times or cry uncontrollably at inappropriate times. I've actually had, in my 10.5 years, I've had one of each. I've had one person who laughs and one person who cries uncontrollably, and they'll be talking to you, joking around, you start bawling, crying, and you're like, oh my God, is something wrong? And they're like, you know, they're trying to tell you, no, everything's fine. They're laughing, but they're crying.
Right.
It's pretty debilitating.
Oh, I can imagine. And, I think he portrayed that. He portrayed how debilitating that would be for someone to have that affliction.
Yeah. It was one of my favorite parts of the movie that his laugh seemed like it hurt. It was like it was coming out and it was painful to do this.
The coughing and the kind of the gagging, because he was, you know, again, like this is uncomfortable for me to do, but somebody looking in, bystander looking in would be like, what the fuck is wrong with you? Kind of like the lady on the bus. You know, we kind of seen that in the trailer that I showed. I mean, that was a very, very, very cool aspect of the movie that, I thought, wow, why wouldn't the Joker be that way? You know what I mean? And when I say the Joker, go ahead.
The laugh was almost like a character in and of itself.
True.
It was almost like another character. And I had someone, and I don't remember who this was off the top of my head. It might have been my brother, but I don't remember. He said, I want to go back now and watch Heath Ledger, his performance, thinking of his laugh as the Pseudobulbar Affect, and see how that changes that character portrayal for me. And I was like, that's interesting. I think that'd be neat to try to kind of do
I
that.
just watched it the other night, just to kind of reinforce what I kind of already thought. Now I didn't rewatch it in thinking of that, but like I said, we're going to get into that debate, and we're going to get into that type of Joker too. Like, because I do believe that there was two different types of Jokers that we're talking about. That's what kind of makes the comparison unfair to me in a way, because I think they were trying to do different things. But we'll get to that. There was another really, really cool moment in the movie that it probably isn't true, but I thought, oh wow. Me and the guy that I went and seen it with, we both kind of looked at each other like, he was like, was that in the comics? I'm like, nah, but it should have been. It was when it looked like Thomas Wayne had, that was going to be Arthur's father. And it was going to, that would have put Bruce and Arthur as stepbrothers. I thought that was a very interesting plot twist that didn't end up panning out at the end, or did it? There's been debate about that too, with the picture that he finds of his mother with Thomas Wayne's signature on the back saying, "You have a lovely smile." So, but I thought that was a very, very cool part.
Yeah, for me, I actually was very glad that it didn't turn out that they were half brothers. I liked that they put it in the movie and then made it not happen, essentially. I get tired of sometimes everyone being kind of familial, tied to each other. Like we've talked about before with the Court of Owls, it was so great until the last two issues. They're like, oh, by the way, this is Lincoln March, and he's Bruce Wayne's long lost brother, and blah, blah, blah. It's like, come on, man. Not everything has to tie that neatly together for me.
Right.
But I do like the introduction, the possibility of it with, for me, it not occurring.
Sure.
But my probably favorite thing of this whole movie, outside of the portrayal of the Joker, is the fact that we have, and no one has any idea how much of this movie happened and how much was a delusion.
Sure.
Because you could just about every scene in that movie,
right,
from about maybe a quarter of the movie in.
Right.
And I think that's awesome. It's kind of like those old school books where you choose your own destiny.
Dungeons,
like, okay,
yeah, they were Dungeons and Dragons, weren't they?
Next page.
Sam?
There was a Batman one I had. Yeah, and so this whole movie is kind of your own interpretation, which is neat because a lot of this was the Joker's interpretation of things. So it kind of puts you in that type of same mindset. I got to decide what's real and what's not, just like he had to.
Right. Now, I love that. I mean, I think that it was a very, very cool aspect of this movie. What was real, what wasn't. But I have to, and I feel like any viewer has to operate on the assumption that unless it's brought to your attention, like the Murray Franklin hallucination and the hallucination of Jazzy Beats, it's Sophie or Sophia, I think it was her name in the movie, that relationship, until you realize that it was fabricated in his mind, then you have to assume that shit happened. You know what I mean? Because like you said, was he killed when the ambulance hit the cop car? Did they pull him out? Was Bruce Wayne's parents killed? You know what I mean? Like, was that something that he fabricated? Even though he wasn't there, he may want revenge on Thomas Wayne.
Was all of this?
It's what?
Was all of this a delusion of his mind? And he was talking to that psychiatrist the whole time.
Sure.
We could have been replaying what he was telling her. You know?
Right. Oh, there's the scene where he's banging his head.
I was just gonna say, I don't feel like, I don't feel like you have to assume that those things really happened. I do, for the most part, assume that all of that occurred, with the exception of, like you said, those two scenes. But I think that's part of the fun and the ambiguity of them. It's like the ambiguity of his character and the ambiguity of his origin in the comic books and in the movies. You get to choose what you believe and what you don't believe.
Sure.
And some of that is sort of what the Joker talks about, especially the Heath Ledger Joker, where you talk about morals and things like that.
Sure.
You know, it's kind of up to the viewer. And I think that's fantastic. I can't sit here and say, I'll tell you what I believe, but I can't sit there and say, nah, man, you're wrong. I think this was this, you know, and I think that's cool. Everyone takes it for however their own mind processes.
Well, Sean Phillips even said the same thing. Sean Phillips, when asked, was this all hallucination? Sean Phillips even said, I'm not going to tell you if it's hallucination or not, because it's so much more fun for everybody to debate on what was real, what wasn't. You know what I mean? And for a movie to do that and do it well, and they did it fucking extremely well. Like, some of this I didn't even think about till later. And I'm like, well, fuck, could that have been fake? Right. And then I start reading articles and everybody's saying it. And I'm like, holy shit, yeah. I mean, very well could have all been a dream. And the dude that was banging his head in that window and talking to the therapist could have been the only real things that we seen. The movie, the portrayal, the story, the twists and turns, the disturbing violence, not a whole lot of violence in the movie, but the violence that did portray, that they did show was graphic and disturbing, so it kind of weighs on you more than like a John Wick movie where it's violence from the get-go, right? It sticks with you more, like, oh God, that was fucked up. I've seen way worse. But that moment, they made it really disturbing and fucked up, which I think was the point. Well,
it was, to your point on that, for me, what's interesting with that is, I had this debate at work today because someone asked me, what do you think about it? And I kind of told them, what we said earlier. Great movie, tough to watch, so on and so forth. And I had a person working with me, and they said, I didn't really think it was that hard to watch. I mean, the violence wasn't that brutal and this and that. And I said, I tend to agree and see what you're saying. You're not seeing people's like limbs get cut off and people get opened up and things like that.
Right.
What I think was disturbing about it is, one, it was very realistic. I mean, John Wick, in what situation are you doing somersaults and coming out shooting 6 guys and then flipping a knife into somebody? That's never going to happen.
Right.
But the violence you saw in this movie, you could see someone get shot on a subway train, and stuff like that.
Right.
But the other thing for me was it wasn't the violence that made it hard to watch for me. It was the stuff leading up to the violence, the way those 3 guys were treating him on the subway before he popped.
Sure. Kind of lost you, Sam.
Waiting him. No?
Where you at?
I'm here.
Okay, I see you now. All right, yeah. You're good. You froze up for a minute. I couldn't hear you.
It's all good. So I was saying it wasn't, for me, it wasn't the violence. It was the way people were treating him.
Sure.
And the tense moments leading up to the violence. And sometimes the fat dude that he worked with who gave him the gun, and you don't know what he's going to do with the short guy that's his buddy.
Right.
He's got to unlock the door and everything.
Oh, that was...
Oh, my God, is he going to kill him? Says you could go. Then the guy can't reach the locks. You're like, all right, is he going to change his mind?
I think it was the hardest that I laughed in the whole movie. That was the hardest that I laughed, was when the dude could not reach the lock, and I cracked up. And I needed that for a minute. Like, I needed to laugh for a minute because I watched that whole scene like a little bitch. I was like, oh, goddamn. I mean, it was after he fucking stabbed him with a pair of scissors, it was that whole, like, he's sitting there with blood on his face, the little dude shitting his pants. I mean, it was just a crazy scene. Very, very, very well done. I mean, I don't know. Now, this is what I want to do is I want to talk about what we didn't like. Because I have some things. I don't know if you do, other than the fact that it's got low rewatchability. But my Joker, and we can kind of throw in the Ledger versus Joker on this if you want, just to kill two birds with one stone. But the Ledger Joker, okay, for this Joker, Joaquin's Joker. Joker to me is Batman's archenemy, right? Okay. Now, granted, I know this was not a comic book movie and all that, okay? But I'm saying my Joker. This is totally opinion-based, all right? He's a mastermind. He's a fucking genius. The Arthur Fleck in this movie, I didn't see a lot of genius. I seen a lot of fucking banana pancakes crazy. Okay? Yeah. So the Ledger Joker, to me, and that's the reason I like that portrayal better, is because Ledger, he gave me that. He gave me the nuts, the crazy, but he folded it in with, I'm 3 steps ahead of her, but I'm the smartest dude in the room, but you'll all underestimate me because I act like a fucking clown. You know? And I love that about the Joker. This Joker, he can surprise people because he's going to do shit unexpectedly, like he did in this movie. And it's pure crazy. There's no really, like, when he was going to shoot Murray Franklin, he didn't have an escape route. You know, he wasn't the genius that I expect that Joker character to be. Now, is that the same Joker? Okay. I mean, you can play timelines and eras all you want. It was Heath Ledger's Joker inspired, from the 70s Arthur Fleck Joker character, because he did create a movement, right? So that was one thing that I wish I would have seen a little more, is a little bit more of once he got off all the meds and he's like, he even said, I'm thinking more clearly now. Like now he's like starting to, you know, put things in motion. You see what I'm saying? But he was very much the Joker of chaos.
So let me address that for me, because I agree with you. I mean, Joker's usually the smartest guy. He's definitely the most scheming and conniving individual. For me, I looked at it like this. This is Batman Begins, but for Joker. He just now is starting to figure out what he is. So he was at this war in his mind. I'm thinking this stuff, but I don't want to do this because I still think I'm a good guy, you know, and this and that. I think now if we fast forwarded to Joker, the same Joker, Arthur Fleck Joker, maybe 6 months or a year from now, we may be seeing that scheming, conniving, intelligent individual because he finally embraced who he was.
Sure.
So I'm kind of looking at like Joker year one, you
sure.
know. So that's kind of how I took it. You know, this is him just finally figuring out who he is. Now he can become fully who he's becoming. And that's why I think you start to see more confidence and the dancing steps up and things like that.
Yeah.
I think the intelligence would come along with that too. Not that he wasn't intelligent, more that he was kind of at war in his mind, trying to figure out what was happening.
I just wish they would have. I didn't really get any of that. I didn't get any that he could become that person. You see what I'm saying?
Sure.
And again, you know how it is being a kung fu instructor. A lot of times the dude that throws the first punch in a fight, he might win. So Joker's going to shoot you first. He's going to stab you first. Because he doesn't have that rationale of not to, if he wants to, you know what I mean? So he's going to be very formidable anyway, but I just wish that they would have gave me more of the, of the evil genius, I guess. Just a hint, you know what I mean? Then as they take him off the car and he is revered, and he has this movement and these followers, then you can see how, you know, he would evolve in the future. So was there something particular that stood out to you? Like, man, I wish that would have been a little bit different.
No, there really wasn't. I really didn't have a complaint to make about this movie, other than the fact that it's going to be really hard for me to rewatch. But
Sure.
that's just simply because of how good it was done. You
Sure.
know, I really didn't have anything that I was like, oh man, you know, this. I sort of don't love his makeup, the John Wayne Gacy tribute makeup,
Right.
For whatever reason, and that, but it's not enough I would complain about. That's just my personal thing. I was like, oh,
Sure.
I've liked it how I've seen his face other ways before, but
Well,
yeah, I really don't have anything.
What I just want, and the stuff that I'm saying is very nitpicky. So, I mean, like, I kind of, and well, my next thing is very nitpicky. And watching the trailer, it came back to me again, is the way Gotham was portrayed. I feel like in most movies they've portrayed Gotham has kind of been a character in itself. It doesn't look like any city you've probably ever been to. It's very gothic, you know, with the gargoyles and all that. And basically, I felt like they decided to have a garbage strike and throw garbage everywhere to make it fucking dirty. I didn't see Gotham, you know what I mean? And I've seen Gotham in video games. I've seen it animated. I've seen it in movies, and it's got that certain Gotham look, that gothic look. And I don't feel like they did that here. Was it a big deal? No, it's not a big deal at all. I just wish Gotham would have played a better part, and then I could have been immersed in this Joker Batman history. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah, and I actually can agree with that. It looked very much like New York. But I'll say I actually had the same thing. If you go to the Nolan movies, the first movie, you saw Gotham.
Right.
Once you switch to the second and the third, and they start filming in Chicago, it just kind of looked like a big city with tall buildings.
Looked like Chicago. Yeah.
Yeah. So I kind of got that same feeling from those movies. But I agree with you. It didn't have that same gothic, pointed roofs, gargoyles, you know, that type of stuff. It did look very just Martin Scorsese, 1970s New York.
Sure.
I could agree with that.
And in that vein, and I know Jason has been harping about this all week. It's from what I remember of Taxi Driver, it's a very Taxi Driver. This movie is a very, very Taxi Driver. Now, I haven't seen Taxi Driver in years. I would have to rewatch it to be honest about that. But you know, it's very, you know, his descent into madness was this movie's very Scorsese. Now, he was an executive producer on the film, and obviously Sean Phillips is a huge fan. So yeah, we're going to get some Scorsese. There's nothing wrong with getting a little Scorsese. Now, to say it's exactly like Taxi Driver, I haven't seen Taxi Driver in years, but I'm going to call bullshit on that. I don't think it is. Again,
I watched Taxi Driver. I watched Taxi Driver recently.
Oh, okay.
Because of this, and I've been a big fan of Taxi Driver. Again, being a psych nurse, I like those type of movies.
Sure.
And this definitely borrows from Taxi Driver. It definitely borrows from The King of Comedy, which is another Scorsese movie.
Sure.
It's definitely not the same thing. In Taxi Driver, you see the pure obsession with somebody that you get a little bit of this with Thomas Wayne, but not nearly the same thing as in Taxi Driver. Right. And for me, if you're going to say, well, this movie just borrows too much from this, which you can make that argument, but then you could throw out 66% of the Marvel movies because they're the same damn thing, just with different characters.
Right. That's
so true. To me, to say that about this, but not the others, is it very fair? Is it very Scorsese? Yeah, it is. I'm not going to say it's not. Is it the same movie? No. And like I said, if you're worried about a movie looking too much like the other one, I think most of Marvel movies follow the same basic formula. So you got to say the same thing about them.
Sure, absolutely. Personally. Yeah. And again, and Sam and I would tell everybody that's watching this or whatever that you make your own mind up. Go see it. The guy that says it's the worst movie you've ever seen, that's his opinion. What's that? What'd you say, Sam?
No, I just said, yeah, for sure. Don't let us do the thinking for you.
Right, exactly. We're just trying to say, you know, out of all the Joker origins that there's been, you know, falling into vat of chemicals, being a failed comedian, losing his pregnant wife, being a mob boss, you know, all these origins that we've had. This is a new
Bruce
take.
Wayne's mother.
Yeah, Bruce Wayne's mother from Flashpoint, right? Yeah,
Flashpoint, yeah.
So this is just another Joker story, and you know, it speaks to the enigmatic nature of this character that, you know, and I seen somebody when this movie was being made, do we really need another fucking Joker movie? You know, and I was like, that's a good argument. You know, he is pretty saturated in Hollywood. And then you get this and you're like, dude, it speaks to the character that so much can be done with just this character.
He's very versatile.
Oh my God. Yeah. So versatile. And like I said, this movie did a great, fresh, original take. Now, did they borrow from The Killing Joke? I believe they did. Even though they said they didn't, they did. They haven't read The Killing Joke if they think they didn't borrow from it. Maybe it was incidental. I don't know. But, you know, but it's the only part of The Killing Joke I liked was that part. You know what I mean? I thought The Killing Joke was fucking terrible. Especially the fucking end. It was awful. But, you know, the playability, the rewatchability of this movie, it really, you know, you and I both talked, and you said it right before the show. I'm really having a hard time putting a number on this.
Oh man. I don't know how to do it.
Right.
Because it's like it was an incredible movie, and I've done nothing but think about this movie for a week.
Right. Me too.
And I so badly want to go back and watch it again, but I also so badly don't ever want to see it again.
Right.
And I don't know how you rate that. You know, it's like Logan. Logan was incredibly hard to watch and sad.
Yes.
And it's not a tenth of what this movie was. You know?
No.
And I had a hard time with Logan in the same way. I was like, man, this movie was incredible. I finally got my portrayal of Wolverine I wanted. But I find myself going back and watching like X-Men 2 because I want to see Wolverine and a happy movie, or you know,
right,
not
yeah,
happy, but at least not an overbearingly sad movie. The fight scenes in Logan are so good, and I don't even want to watch them because I don't want to see all the other stuff again.
I'll watch it till the end, and that's when I stop. Like it'll be on. Like if I'm at the firehouse or something, and the guys are watching it, I'll watch it right up till, you know, he kills all the dudes in the woods, and then I stop. Like, I can't watch him die. I just can't do it again. Brian says, LMC for Life says 8.5 for me. It's pretty high. That's what I think you have to do. Attorneys call it putting your morals in a vacuum. I think that's kind of how we have to rate this movie, is kind of in a vacuum. Logan did something avant-garde. It showed that comic book movies can transcend their genre. The Joker, very, very much in the same vein. So I'm trying to keep it like that. I'm going to give it a 9.5 because, like, again, for what the story that they were trying to do, I don't think they could have done it any better. And like I said, just about all the things that I referenced that I didn't like are very comic book related. You know, and that they made it very clear. We're not making a comic book movie here. We're just taking a comic book character and making a psychological drama, thriller, whatever. And they did that.
And I'll be honest with that. That was part of the appeal to me. If you remember, when we were sitting around sometime early at the beginning of this year, 2019, you know, we were talking about our most anticipated movies. And I said, obviously, Avengers Endgame. Mm-hmm. I said, but if there's one movie that's going to be able to unseat that for me, it's going to be The Joker.
Yeah.
Because it was going to be so different. And I'm honestly, you know, I'm a huge comic book fan. And I'll continue to support it all the way. There's some great comics being out there, especially that X-Men stuff. You guys aren't reading this X-Men, you're messing up.
You're missing
but,
it.
You are. I'm a little burnt out on the formulaic Marvel movies. And so here comes a movie that's completely different. And I'm like, thank you. Give me something different. Just break it up a little. So, for example, you know, we're talking about the Phase 4 movies. Everybody's like, what are you excited for? Now, obviously, I'm excited for Shang-Chi because I'm a kung fu guy. And I'm hoping that we get an old school, like Shaw Brothers type, just kung fu flick, which would be different. But the other one I'm excited for is Doctor Strange. And the only reason I'm excited for Doctor Strange is because they said this could be our first for real horror movie. And I'm like, thank you. Give me something different.
Right.
So this being not of the comic books and kind of away from that, and a realistic story, a different versatile way to look at the Joker, it was refreshing to me in that sense. Nothing about the movie's refreshing.
Sure.
But that was refreshing.
Yeah, that's true. And that was true with the New Mutants, which I don't know if we'll ever see the New Mutants movie or not, but I remember when the New Mutants movie was being made, I seen the trailer and I was like,
can we please get that movie?
Oh my God. I was like, what the fuck is this? And I was so...
Can we please get that movie?
Dude, I heard, the last I heard, it was probably going to be seen on Hulu. That's the last I heard.
I heard they were going to release it maybe on Marvel Plus.
Oh, that would be fine. That would be fine too.
So yeah, whatever.
I just want to see it.
But hey, that trailer looked awesome.
Yeah. Yeah. And why that movie ran into so much trouble, I have no idea. Like, I don't know if there was a director that cut out or they had to finish it up or they thought they got bad test feedback. I don't know what the deal with that movie was, but from the very first trailer, I was fucking in. Like, yes. And to your point, because you're giving me something different. That's one of the reasons we liked Brightburn so much. You know, gave me fucking Evil Superman.
Yeah.
Fuck yeah, man. I've never seen Evil Superman on screen. Let's do that shit.
No. And then we got it with The Boys a few weeks later.
Right. And
that was awesome.
I feel like The Boys is fucking phenomenal anyway. And again, a breath of fresh air. Like, oh my God, superheroes really aren't that good. You know what I mean? And they typically they're fucking not. So, and why would they be? They're just like any other athlete or anything, like any other celebrity. You're going to have good ones. You're going to have pieces of shit. And those pieces of shit are still going to have a mad fan base. It just made total fucking sense. That's the reason I feel like The Boys has been such a hit, because they are trying to reinvent the genre somewhat. And we're the ones that make out on that, because they're really producing some good stuff right now.
Yeah. Well, and it's kind of like in Brightburn, when the kid is sitting there in front of his, I guess, aunt, who's his school counselor, and he says, "No, I'm good. Yesterday, I just realized I was superior, buddy." And you got to figure that's kind of how these superheroes would start to think and look at themselves. You know?
Absolutely.
So
look at the
where
Homelander.
The Boys really, to me, becomes realistic to me, in the sense that that's more likely than them being the super moral good doers. You know, that's just not realistic, unfortunately.
Right.
I wish it was, but
yeah, right.
Not.
So let me ask you this: so this movie's going to make a shit ton of money, especially for the budget that it was given. It's going to make a shit ton of money. It's going to be highly, highly, highly praised by the critics and everybody else. So like it or love it.
I'm a little nervous to see. I'm wondering if China is going to allow it to be shown. China bans stuff like this a lot, and that's that's the second biggest movie market.
Right.
So that could hurt it some.
It may hurt it. It may hurt its box office, but I mean, the studio still knows that. You know what I mean? They know that. They're like, well, it would have made this. Yeah. They know they got a hot property. Now, Sean Phillips has already said there's no plans for a sequel. This was a single story. I ended the story, but because of the popularity of this movie, Warner Brothers, we know how fucking Warner Brothers is. They're all about that dollar. I look for them to try to dive into this universe again. So in doing that, would we get a Sean Phillips Batman Joker movie? Now, the Joker is going to be much older. It may not even be that Joker. It may be more to the Gotham type of Jerome Joker, where he kind of influences other people to take up that mantle. DC is doing the 3 Joker story. I don't know. I've been hearing about this for 2 years. I don't know if they're ever going to fucking do it.
Are they? Yeah, are they?
What's that?
I just said, are they for real? Because it doesn't seem like it.
Yeah, it doesn't seem like. We've been hearing about it for maybe more than 2 years. And I keep looking for it. And I know you do too.
Jeff Johns hasn't even finished Doomsday Clock yet.
Yeah.
How's he going to move on to the 3 Jokers? It's like, come on, man.
Well, yeah, no shit. And that's another thing. I mean, I love Jeff Johns, but I know he's got a lot of irons in the fire, but the lateness of things does tend to hurt it. But I'm just, do you think they'll try to revisit this universe again?
There's definitely going to be meetings and talks about it.
Do you want them to revisit this universe again?
No.
Okay. I don't know if I do either.
Let it go. Because I'm like this, man. My all-time favorite horror movie is The Shining. Okay, number 1 favorite movie in the horror genre is The Shining. The sequel is coming out either this month or next month. Dr. Sleep.
Yeah.
And it looks terrible.
Right.
Terrible. And I'm like, just leave it alone. I'm a big Wu-Tang fan, right?
Right.
The Jizza, I'm going to quote the Jizza the Genius one time said, leave it half as short and twice as strong. And that's the truth. Give us this one hit, put it out there, let it be as powerful as it is. You don't need to touch it again. And that's how I feel about that. Half as short, twice as strong. Thank you, Wu-Tang Clan, Jizza Genius. He nailed it. Half as short, twice as strong.
I don't know. It depends. I'm like you. I leave it alone. Hey, you created something that's fucking damn near a masterpiece. Why fuck with that? Why fuck with that? But does a sequel diminish what they did here? And I'll do anything to get a Batman movie. And a Batman movie from Sean Phillips, like a realistic, like maybe even more ultra realistic than even the Nolan verse was. I would be curious to see him dive into the site. How about this? How about we do this? The Joker movie, standalone. Sean Phillips does a Batman movie, standalone. Like diving into the psychosis of fucking Bruce, because he may be as damaged as the Joker. That would be an interesting, a fresh take on Batman. Todd Phillips. I keep saying Sean Phillips. My bad.
Love to see that. Yeah, it's all good. I would love to see that. The other thing I'd love to be is what they promised us going into Suicide Squad, and of course didn't deliver at all, which is a Batman movie from the villain's perspective. Give me that scary coming out of the shadows. Holy shit, what is this?
Yeah, that'd be
Either
cool.
one of those would be amazing.
Right.
Here's my thing with make it okay. Heath Ledger's performance was incredible. Still probably the best Joker performance ever. And I still would say probably the best single portrayal of a villain in any movie for me.
Me too.
If he didn't die and he came back for a sequel, they made the next Batman movie through Christopher Nolan and it starred the Joker, Heath Ledger. I'm not sure it would have touched it would have been good, I'm sure, but I'm not sure if it would have touched it. And I referenced Thanos. So you take Thanos and you take Infinity War. And I had this debate. I think me and you talked about it. I know me and my brother talked about it. Damn, Thanos in a single movie, damn near was as good as Heath Ledger was with the Joker.
I agree.
I mean, Thanos in Infinity War was incredible, right?
Right.
Thanos in Endgame was not. And
Right.
especially coming back and saying, just being the spoiled war general, I'm going to make you all be in my image and this, that. It took away from me from his Infinity War performance.
I agree.
And I'm nervous that might have happened with Heath Ledger, and I'm nervous that might happen with this one. I think, like you said, you made a masterpiece. Let it sit there and marinate.
Let it go. You know? Yeah. No, I agree. I agree. Yeah. Now, I would like to see, again, because Sean Phillips obviously has this mental illness angle down. I mean, he fucking we got you, Debo. We got, he's got that angle down. I would like, because, what's his name? Reeves is doing the Batman movie.
Matt Reeves.
He's going to do, he's going to give us the detective. Like, he's going to give us a detective Batman. Like, that's probably his favorite aspect of the character, I would assume. And that's something we haven't seen on screen. So I'm very, very excited for that. I want to see that. This Todd Phillips, he could go, he could give us what?
I've heard that they might be patterning it off Long Halloween, which is my all-time favorite Batman story. So if that happens, I mean, you're going to see me floating.
Well, I also heard they're introducing Robin, Batgirl, and I'm like, hold on. Like, we've seen movies start doing this shit. You get too many fucking characters. You can't tell a cohesive story. Just fucking stop. So, but Matt Reeves has done great movies, and so I'll defer to him on that. But, yeah. So, but I would like to see
Spider-Man 2.
I would like to see that. I would like to see somebody do a dark, fucked up Batman movie like this was done. Because so many people think that. Batman's not a guy. He's one of my favorites. You know this. The chat, y'all know this. Yeah. He's not a guy to be emulated. He's a fucked up, broken individual. Yeah. And I would love to see someone tap into that in a movie. It would probably be a low budget film, a la this, because people, do people want to see that? I know fans probably would. But I would just like to see that. But it's going to be curious to see what they do with this universe and the money that it's going to make. Jason says, we need a refresher for Batman after how Tom King has phoned it in recently.
I have to agree. This Bane City of War thing has not done it for me.
No,
he knocks it out of the park when he does the Batman Catwoman relationship. And anything outside of that, he's missing.
Yeah,
I still don't understand the purpose of Gotham Girl. For what?
Right.
For what?
Well, I mean,
it's a whole nother topic.
Well, I mean, and it's weird that Gotham City would be this way, and there's all these other heroes in this universe, and they're just going to let villains run Gotham. I mean, I get it, no Batman, but Superman could fucking go down there and fucking clean them all out. In a blink of an eye, and Gotham's back. You know what I mean? It's just they never really addressed where the rest of the Justice League was, and I don't know. I'm a Tom King fan, and I really
too.
What's that? Yeah,
I said me too.
Yeah.
This is his first kind of miss for me.
Yeah, me too. Well, no, I can't say that. What was the PTSD miniseries he just got done doing for DC? Yeah.
Yeah, Mr. Miracle.
What was it?
Mr. Miracle.
No. The place that Batman and Superman had all the superheroes go to confess things, and it was like a sanctuary.
Yeah. Heroes in Crisis.
I kept wanting to say Infant Crisis. I'm like, that's not it. Yeah, Heroes in Crisis. Yeah. That shit, I've read that thing 3 different times and was like, what the fuck what did Flash do? Is Flash the villain now? What just happened? Yeah, not good at all. I don't know if that was just a big paycheck for him and they're like, hey, do this. And he was like, yeah, fuck, I'll throw something down. But yeah, it's been pretty much miss. So, yeah, I mean, to wrap it up, I'm going to put you on the spot. Since I gave it a 9.5, you got to give me a score.
You know what's funny, when you said 9.5, you were right where I'm toying with. And my original number was right there. And I'm like, God, can I rate something that high that I don't know if I'll ever watch again? But I think I'm going to have to, because I just don't have any complaints about it. And I was going to give it a 9.6.
Right. A 9.6.
So 9.6 for me. Yeah, that was the number that was in my head. I've been debating, can I rate something that high when I'm not going to watch it again? But I think I can.
Oh my God.
I can't take away from the movie.
You're right. Again, I'm trying to take that out of it because I don't know. I feel like, because someone else may. Like, someone may go to this movie and be like, oh my God, I had to fucking see this again. And, you know, was that real? And try to find more Easter eggs. And, you know, like, they could get into it like that. To me, it's like, I was trying to explain to somebody without spoiling it. And I said, did you watch The Office? And this person was like, yeah. I was like, okay, if you watch The Office, it's like when Michael Scott is saying something in The Office that is so you know, unpolitically correct and so discriminatory towards somebody, and you're like, oh my God, Michael, just shut the fuck up. It's like that times 100. Like, I sat in my movie chair like, oh my God. Like, when he's laughing, when he's skinny, when he's talking to people, and I'm like, it was so hard for me to watch. So that's what I mean by that. It's a fantastic performance for an actor to make me feel that way. Go ahead.
I told someone it was almost like cheating on your wife or your girlfriend with the greatest pussy you've ever had in your life, because then you still regret it afterwards. And you're like, I could never do that again, you know?
Right.
And that's kind of how it felt to me. Like, I was like, I'm watching one of the best movies I've ever seen,
right?
But I can never do that to myself again. And that's how I told someone. That's what it seemed like to me. I just got the best dirty pussy I've ever had in my life, and I can never do that again. It's not right,
right?
You know? And that's kind of how I felt about it.
Yeah, I mean, again, the bones that I picked with the movie were very, very picky and minuscule. It took away nothing from what they tried to do and portray. They nailed it on all counts: story, performance, beginning, first act, second act, third act. I mean, if all movies, you know,
there's okay. So one of the things me and you talk about, and we've talked about, like with certain Marvel movies, for example, and some of the DC movies like Aquaman, where you're like, it's pretty good, but there was nothing that memorable in it. This latest Spider-Man was kind of like that. Really fun movie. I enjoyed it, but nothing that was memorable. No scene that I was like, oh my gosh, you know.
Right.
There's so many memorable, oh my gosh, scenes in this movie. Like, you know, he sticks his fingers in Bruce Wayne's mouth and pulls. Like, I'll never unsee that. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Like, what about when he comes to the door and he's like this, shirtless, and his shoulder blades are sticking up to his ears? They look like devil horns.
Oh my God.
There's just so much that's completely, and it's like, you like me, you know, we've gotten a little bit older. We have a lot on our mind. You know, for me, I've got all this kung fu rattling up in here and all this stuff. I can visually picture all these different scenes from this clear as day. And I can't do that for a lot of movies.
Right.
You know?
Yeah. You know what got me was his dancing. The dancing he would do. Like, it was just, I mean, how do you make a dance so fucking creepy? And he did. Like, and I'm thinking, man, he's really not that bad of a dancer. You know what I mean? But the way he did it, and especially when he was in his makeup and he's walking down the steps and he's dancing, he's twirling around, I was like, oh, God damn, this motherfucker has lost his mind, you know, which is what you're supposed to think.
What about when he's just sitting in Zazie Beetz' house apartment, just sitting there, and you're like,
and you realize that the whole relationship that he's had with her was in his fucking head? Because I was like,
Right.
Why is she looking at him like that? I'm like, oh my God. I mean, it hit me immediately when she was looking at him.
I kind of thought it was a delusion as it was happening. I was like, I don't think this is real.
Well, you know, it's funny you say that because I think Jazzy Beats is a fucking smoke show. And I'm sitting there going, you know what? When this movie ends, this is going to be my biggest complaint, that a dude like Arthur Fleck could get a chick like Jazzy Beats. There's no fucking way. And then when you're right, there was no fucking way. I was just like, me and the guy I went with, you know, we grabbed each other like, dude, you know, it was pretty good.
Yeah. When he was just sitting there and she walks in, she's looking like that. And us as view, you know, like I said, I was kind of like, yeah, I didn't think any of that was real as we were going, but I was like, oh, what is this guy going to do now?
Yeah.
You know, and it was just that eerie tense on the edge of your seat because you never know what he's going to do.
Right.
And that's just, it was so powerful.
Do you think he killed her? Because some people think he killed her.
You know, I don't know. I don't think he did. I guess you could have, because you don't see her again. He's just walking down the hall. So he definitely could have. I'm kind of in my head, in my space, going with what I see happened really happened.
Yeah, exactly.
So the delusions we know happened. The things we saw happen, I think those happened. Those weren't delusions.
Yeah.
But I'm not going to argue against the other way. So since I didn't see that happen, I'm not going to believe it happened.
Right. Yeah, no, I agree.
My own interpretation.
That's what I said. That's what I said in the beginning. Like, if it was not addressed in the movie as being an illusion, if I see it, then it happened. Like Bruce Wayne's parents, they died. Like they were shot. And you know, and I thought that was, we've seen that 1,000 times. Movies, comics, cartoons, and this was a very different take on it, which I appreciated that. You know, I thought they did it really well.
Yeah, I did too. And I liked how he came up with the name Joker when he was like, you called me a Joker. And I was like, I like that.
I do too. Yeah.
Like
simple, you know, very simple.
I had no complaints, man. I loved after he shot Robert De Niro, and they just sat there for a second. Like, I was like, man, this is so good.
Yeah, man.
I have no complaints about the movie. That's why I have to give it a 9.6. I may have given it a perfect 10 if I could watch it again.
Sure. Yeah. I agree. I 10 was on my mind, and I'm like you.
I've never given a 10.
Yeah. No.
I've never given one.
Did I give? No, I don't even think I gave Logan a 10.
No.
I don't think I've never given a 10. I've gotten close.
Yeah, I've been close with the first Avengers.
Me too.
I was close with Infinity War.
Me too.
I'm right there with The Dark Knight with Heath Ledger. I think I gave it 9.6, 9.8 maybe, but I haven't given a perfect 10. But this is one that I would have debated.
Well, when IGN gave it a perfect 10, you and I both were like, what the fuck? IGN's done lost their minds. Right. The perfect movie, IGN, right. Come on. And I'm like you. I cannot argue with it. Well, guys, I think we've wrapped it up. I think we've hit all the notes. Go see the movie. Make up your own mind. It's fantastic cinema. It tells a great story. Like Jason said in chat, you need no reference. You never seen a Batman movie? Don't need it. You don't know who the fuck the Joker is, but you've heard of him? You don't need to know who the Joker is. This movie's going to tell you who he is. So love it or hate it, I still think it's one of those movies that needs to be seen. Sam, tell everybody where they can find you.
So if you're trying to check out the Kung Fu School, I'm on Facebook. We have my name, Sam Wittershine. We also have the Anlu Guan Kung Fu School, which is AUNLOONGWAN Kung Fu School. We're on Facebook and Instagram. The website's a little easier to remember. That's www.kungfulu, L-O-U like Louisville, kungfulu.com. So those are probably the easiest ways to check us out.
Awesome. Yeah, if you live in the Louisville area and you've thought about learning Kung Fu, and Sam also teaches Tai Chi, is that correct, Sam?
Yes. Yep. I teach Tai Chi, which I've posted a bunch of articles recently on Facebook and Instagram showing we just continue to get more and more scientific and medical evidence of the benefits of Tai Chi. They've proven it to be an 88% preventer of Alzheimer's and other dementia-related illnesses. They're using it to help treat the beginning stages of Parkinson's disease. We use it for anxiety, depression. I teach a 12-step recovery Tai Chi class, so I use to help guys stay sober.
That's awesome.
The benefits of it are just immeasurable.
Yeah.
And the first class always free, so if you want to come check it out, try it or whatever, you're always welcome to.
Awesome. And I am the Blazing Defender. If you've never seen this show, my name's Travis Jones. I host a weekly comic book podcast. I will talk about news, TV shows, anything that I think's cool. And I review comics for the week. I didn't get a show in this week because I knew Sam and I were doing this, but I will be back next week with new comic books. And he's right. If you're not reading Powers of X and House of X, you're really, really missing out. He and I have both talked about this. It has rekindled our X-Men love. Jonathan Hickman is fucking absolutely killing it on this title. So please check that out. Go ahead.
Let me say this on part of this X-Men. Let me just tell you guys how good this is. As a kid, I was an X-Men fan, okay? I loved Wolverine, as all kids I think kind of did. Huge Nightcrawler fan. Absolutely in love with Magneto simply because, the Jewish connection, all that stuff. And love X-Men's Rogues Gallery. I put X-Men's Rogues Gallery up there with anyone as far as Batman, Ninja Turtles, Spider-Man. They're all in that elite status. For the longest time, I couldn't touch the X-Men because it was so bad, okay? And not the movies. I enjoyed most of the movies with the exception of Apocalypse. Apocalypse sucked. Other than that, I liked most of the movies. But the comics were horrible. This has brought back all of that. And I pre-ordered every one of the 6 new X-Men titles coming out. New Mutants, X-Men, Dawn of X, which comes out Wednesday.
Marauders.
Excalibur, X-Factor, X-Force, the Marauders. Every one of them I got pre-ordered. Every single one. And I'll spend over $1,000 getting 2 X-Men statues from Sideshow.
Yeah.
So, yeah. So just know that's how good these 2 books are.
Yeah.
And Dawn of X comes out next Wednesday, and I absolutely can't wait for it.
Now, if you're not an X-Men, a lot of my viewers, I know some of them have never read a comic book before. And I'm not saying that it's that good where you kind of need a history of the X-Men to really get the gravitas of what Hickman is doing. But I still think if you just pick these titles up, you would enjoy it. The art is beautiful. And it's got some really, really, really good story in it, even if you don't know the backstory. Yeah, but check that out. I'll be talking about it more on the show. So hit that like button. Follow me on Facebook, Blazing Defender Reports on Facebook. I'll post when I'm having shows. If you hit that subscribe button, you'll get a notification every time I go live on Twitch. I'm always live on Twitch. You can hear me on iTunes, on Anchor. I'm now on Anchor. What I'm going to start doing is Anchor allows me to post a 3-minute podcast. So what I'm going to do is when I read House of X number 6, I'm going to I'm just going to give you a 3-minute synopsis, spoiler free, of course, on what I thought about it. So just check that out on Anchor, Blazing Defender Report on iTunes. I'm all over the internet, Twitter, Instagram, all that stuff. So please check me out. And guys, thank you so much for being in the chat. I appreciate and always love your support. Sam and I both do. I know Sam is a huge favorite of you guys. Going to have him back on very, very, very soon. And with that, guys, we're out of here. Peace.
Let me say one thing. Before we go. Travis Jones, the Blazing Defender, he always says this, but I want to reiterate this, especially in light of this Joker movie. Please go out and be kind to each other. You don't know what someone else is going through, what their struggle is, where they're at mentally, or anything like that. It's a sad, unfortunately violent world that we're living in that seems to be getting worse. Hopefully not. hopefully we can start coming back up. But it seriously starts with each and every one of you guys, man. If each of you smiles and treats other person in kind, they may do that to someone else, and we can start making these small changes that are needed, because this Arthur Fleck story is not too far off.
That's right.
So that's all I wanted to say.
Yeah, thank you. I don't normally do that on the Meatheads show, but I always do it on my show. But I'm glad you did. From now on, you get to do that part on the Meatheads. How about that? Cool. But Barry, yes,
right,
he's right. The world is crazy. It's fucked up. Just treat people like you'd want to be treated, man. When you see that lady fall over and hover around, pick her ass up. You know what I mean? Just pick her up. It's not a big deal. So, guys, again, thank you so much. Follow us again, and we'll be back very, very, very soon with the new show. Thanks. Peace.